And we are live. I think it says live up here. How we doing, guys? Thanks for joining me here on a Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Thought I would hop on and just say hello for a little bit. Brian Sherland, go Suns, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's dropping. It is dropping. I did not buy Bitcoin today, but I did buy some crypto today. I bought the dip, and I think that here's the weird thing that's been going on with crypto is every time I go to buy it, it just keeps on falling more. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I should just wait until it actually stops falling and maybe it trends up slightly and then buy in. I don't know, but so I've been trying to figure that out. It's been an interesting day. Ryan, what's going on, man? One of the things I really enjoy about content channels like yours is that I get to see what everyone is collecting and it gives me ideas. I don't see how that's a bad thing, really. I would agree. I don't think it's a bad thing either. Yeah, I think it's a great thing. Well, that's the whole idea. And actually, you mentioned this on the vintage side as well. Is there's vintage sets that you'll learn of, like today or whatever. You'll learn of a new set, and you're someone that's been collecting cards for decades. So if you're finding new sets, think about somebody that's new coming in or someone that hasn't been in for very long, and then you get into non-sports things or alternate sports things or whatever. And the possibilities are really kind of endless. That's what's fun about the whole sharing of cards thing. So I totally agree with you. Brian collects. What's going on? Good to see you. For everyone joining, thanks. I know this is like everyone's getting off of work or still working or trying to get dinner going or whatever. So I don't expect there to be a lot of people joining today, but I appreciate those that are making it happen. Brian, good to see you. Justin, Sports Card Museum. Yeah, wait a few for an upswing of support. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I did today. So I watched it fall as far as crypto is concerned. And then it kind of trended back up a little bit. And then I bought in on a few things. So we'll see. You never really know. What's up? I'll ask the question everyone wants to know. Thoughts on the recent Star Wars hype? Yeah, I don't know. I see, some of these cards and it's kind of similar. I bought a Marvel card today, not a PMG, but I did buy a Marvel card. I think this is one of those things where, with Star Wars cards, if you're already into Star Wars and maybe it's something that is of interest to you, I understand kind of the IP is this massive IP. It's kind of like, Pokemon or any of these long-standing IPs, Disney or whatever. So I understand why people would think that this could have legs, but that's a really good question. Is it just hype or is it, is there some staying power to it for the cards? If you think though, when I think of Star Wars collectibles, I really think more on the action figure side. I was born in the 80s. So like the real Star Wars collectibles that I think of are the original like Kenner action figures still in the box that are graded or whatever, and they're scarce ones. So when I think of those sorts of collectibles, it's kind of similar with Marvel. When you think of Marvel stuff, really the big time collectibles are the key comic books. And then, yeah, you've got some really cool Marvel cards. So you are seeing kind of an expansion into those other things. But on the Marvel side, the majority of people that collect Marvel comics don't care at all about the cards. So does that change over time? Who knows? But yeah, the Star Wars thing, we'll have to see. I think I have to assume, and I've done zero research, I assume there's probably some cool Star Wars cards out there, and people are going to jump all over the first Darth Vader or the first Luke Skywalker. What's the one set from the 70s? The bread set or whatever. People have been talking about that for a while. So I don't think that's new. But if you're talking about like the modern, ultra modern Star Wars stuff, yeah, I haven't heard anyone really talking about that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with it. But I think, just like with a lot of things, you'll see kind of, price spikes on certain stuff and then comes back down to earth, just like a lot of stuff does. And then you have to see over time, does it have any staying power and what's really rare, what's not, et cetera. So we'll see. Tube Nachos, what is going on? Colorado Springs. Hope all is well. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Brendan Ryan, not really anything super hot as far as topics go. I just thought I would jump on a little bit. I didn't get a chance to throw a video together today. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go live for a little bit. Why not? Any thoughts on what PSA may be up to with polling economy events this week? Tell me more about it. They pulled them, meaning they're not doing them anymore? Because I missed this. I'm not really sure what you mean. Maybe they're looking to open some things up. Is that what you're thinking? Star Wars card, solid investment, tough low pop PSA 10s. You have to, yeah, but you have to be careful because it also is that, is it that or is it, that they just haven't been graded yet? Actually, Neo is perfect guy for this. 1990 Impel Marvel. And I love 1990 Impel Marvel. I collected it too. Me and Neo are about the same age. So we were collecting that as kids. I haven't bought any PSA 10s because I want to wait. I want to see what that looks like over time. So I want those cards. I want the Impel 90 Marvel in a PSA 10. I'm just not going to buy them yet because I think that there's going to be more that come out of the woodwork. And look, maybe there's no more that come out, but actually, I think on his video today or yesterday, Neo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you said something like 90 Impel was one of the highest graded sets or something. And maybe it was PSA or SGC. I don't remember which grading company. But anyway, that was exactly my point with that. With a lot of these like low pop PSA 10s, if it isn't a numbered card, then there is a little bit of, fragility, if you will. There's vulnerability there. They're more can pop up, we'll say. Oh, wait, I missed it. I agree with the action figures. That's mostly what I collect when it comes to the Star Wars and the Marvel IPs. Yeah. I just struggle because I do look, I mean, I've got Marvel cards, but I've been going after just other things that are scarce, that are inexpensive. These are one of ones. They're one out of 1,000 packs of 2016 Marvel Annual. They were about $40 or $50 each. I just think they're cool looking cards. They're signed on the back by the artist. Nobody's talking about them, so that's something I'll just grab at a fairly low price and just hold on to and just kind of see what happens over time with it. And then with, I just struggle with buying the comics or buying the cards or, so there's a lot. I collect a lot of things. So that's where my struggle lies. What are we pumping today? We're just here to chit chat. I was already asked about Star Wars, so I don't know if you're in on the Star Wars game too. Are you already buying into the Star Wars stuff, or what's your take on Star Wars there, Rob? 77 Skywalker rookie card and high grade goes for a lot. Yeah, that's the bread. What is it called? The bread, the Wonder Bread card, or is that the one? I've seen that one. Buy. Yeah. I bought some crypto today. I bought some crypto crypto. It was funny because at lunchtime I was like, I need to buy some crypto. And then I forgot about it, got busy. And then at like 4, I was like, oh shoot, like I need to go back and do this. And it was lower. So I'm like, okay, it's low. It's getting low. Will it go lower? Maybe. Will it bounce back? Who knows? But I was like, man, I'm going to dollar cost average on some of the stuff I've already got. What do you suppose the ratio of fake to authentic ungraded Star Wars action figures is? Are we talking about in the box Star Wars stuff from the 80s, or are we talking about loose stuff, Brendan? I don't own any of those. I've got like Ninja Turtle figures from the late, like 88, the first line of Ninja Turtle figures from 88 in box. I don't have any of the old Star Wars stuff because it's pretty pricey. But I think it's cool though. But I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about loose ones, or are you talking about that people are actually like fake to box? I would think that'd be pretty tricky to do. Maybe not though. Who knows? Neo is in the house. They aren't doing economy this week because they said they have an announcement coming. It probably means I have to assume that's good news. I think it'd be kind of weird for them to say like, hey, you know what? We've got an announcement. Prices are going up. I'm sure that it's probably some good piece of news, and we will report on it. Did you see the recent sports cards live? Guests indicated that hobby is growing like crazy in China overseas, mainly basketball and soccer. Now, I did not watch that recent one. I assume that was this past Saturday night. I haven't seen it. It wouldn't really surprise me at all. That's kind of something that everyone's, especially in the US, North America, speculated on for a while, but we don't really have a lot of gauge. It's like we don't really have a lot of insight into what's going on in China in general, just because of the way that they run things over there. So it's kind of hard to see what's what, kind of what's going on. But it wouldn't surprise me at all, though. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Basketball and soccer, absolutely. Top 20 on PSA most graded sets now. So 1990 Impel. Yeah, and like I said, I'm definitely going to get some of those 90 Impel PSA 10s for certain characters. I'm just going to hold for a little bit, see what that looks like. Maybe it'll be a year from now, but eventually, definitely get a few of those. Purchase the 2021 Topps Chrome Galaxy Star Wars card that are numbered. Regardless of pop counts, he will always be desirable because they're numbered, plus the art of those cards are amazing. Yeah, that's the thing that's kind of interesting with some of the non-sports stuff. So whether we're talking about this Star Wars set that you're talking about, or Marvel stuff, or really any of the non-sports stuff, sports cards, and we've seen this, have gotten watered down with parallels over the years. You've seen that, like 2020 Select. You've got a zillion different parallels. It's starting to get watered down, and people are disinterested by that. They're looking at it and they're like, you know what? Select used to be hobby only. Now it's retail, and now they've got, ostrich, zebra combination, rattlesnake, cards, and it's just not as appealing. It feels watered down because it is watered down. So I think some of that thrust into maybe some of these other IPs is like, okay, they do have parallels and they're numbered, but there's still rarity to it. They haven't overdone this to where it's like you can go to Walmart and get it, and then you can also, get hobby boxes and, 5,000 different parallels. I think people are looking for that. People are looking for that scarcity rarity element. No economy events being done. Sin City got it right. I'm seeing lots of spec out there about possibly lowering cost, etc. That would make sense. Starting to get back to toy collectibles. Besides the 88 Utah Jazz players, what else was rare? Are you asking me, or are you trying to tell me, Dex? Because you probably know better than me. You're talking about for starting lineups, the Jazz players. That's a good. I mean, I know that there's random starting lineup players that were just hard to find. I can't place which ones, but yeah, I know about the Jazz players though. Overseas card hobby is an untapped market. I buy a lot of stuff over there that I can't find here. Fair enough. Actor autos, when it comes to Star Wars, can care less about the Topps Chrome stuff. Yeah. I think that'll be just an interesting part of the hobby. And I think that there are a lot of card collectors that are speculating on non-sports becoming just a larger part of the overall card market. And why are they speculating that? Just look at what Josh Luber wrote up in his novel of a paper, his 7,000 word paper. And he's got Zero Cool out now, where he's focused on non-sports. And to me, when I look at Josh Luber, yeah, he collects sports cards, but he strikes me as more of the culture guy. He was into sneakers. Not that he doesn't like sports cards, he does, but that's definitely right up his alley. So if Fanatics and Zero Cool is really kind of pushing that, that element, that non-sports stuff, and that's a really big focus for them, then, I think people are speculating on maybe it kind of brings all the other non-sports things or the alternative sports stuff, into more of a spotlight where it might not have been before. And we're starting to see that more and more. Hockey. I know people have been talking about hockey for a while. I know hockey has gotten bumps in certain areas, but yeah, hockey is one of those people talk about all the time. Outside of the greats, Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky and Yager, etc. Connor McDavid. Any additions to your black box NES collection? So that's another one that I'm kind of waiting on a little bit. It's kind of similar to that, because I collect CIB complete in box original NES stuff. And it's kind of similar to that 90 Impel example, Impel Marvel cards. It's like, I know they made a lot of it. How much of it's going to come out of the woodwork? How will that affect pricing? So I haven't added anything new, but you know what part of that though is? Not that I don't want to. I'm looking for it. I'm certainly looking for it, but the prices they've gone up, and I thought that Wada Games took, kind of, there's a lot of people that like Wada Games, don't like Wada Games. And so I was thinking, well, maybe Wada cases, the Wada graded games are going to take a hit as far as price point goes, and there'll be some deals out there. Not really. Can't find them. I can't find the same sorts of deals that I got my current stuff on, when I bought that. So, and I don't know if it's just a lot of people that are just sitting on stuff. They don't want to, not in a hurry to sell it. But I haven't added any new black box NES games. I will, though. It's just a matter of kind of when. What I do, and I know I talk about this a lot, is I try to just move capital around to where I see opportunities. The crypto crash over the last 2 days is a great example of that. and not that I have like $1 million in crypto, but it's no different than if, equities take a massive, massive hit, and they have dropped, but crypto has taken a massive dump since January 1st. And the last couple of days, heavy, heavy dump. So I'm focused on those sorts of things. If there's, I believe in certain, tokens, whatever. So I'll go in a little bit harder on those. I'll kind of double down on the stuff that I like because prices are down, so it'd be no different in, with cards. And I know that a lot of you all, if Joe Namath flawless patch autos drop down to $50, $100, and I'll buy as many as I can. I'll buy them all, so it's really no different. I'm just trying to kind of move capital around to stuff that I really like, that is hopefully, the prices are lowering. Just never hear reports of fake. Oh, just never hear reports of fake action figures. I'm sure they're out there. Yeah, that's true. I just think, I feel like it would be tough to, and I could be totally wrong on this, but to replicate kind of the action figure with the box art, kind of, that back layer cardboard. And then you've got the what is it called? That plastic case. That wouldn't be hard to do, but I feel like if they tried to fake an 80s, cardboard backing to the action figure, that would be really tough. I feel like it would be kind of obvious to figure out like something is not right. It just looks off. Could be wrong though. Could be wrong. Live in South Korea. Soccer is booming. Yeah. South Korea is very good at soccer. Very good at soccer. Basketball is close number 2. Asia is a huge hub for sports cards. I guess I just wonder, Grunt Dad Sports Cards, do you have the same accessibility outside of like eBay, which I understand you can buy stuff off eBay? Are there a lot of, are there card shops? Are there card shows? Are there all that stuff going on in Asia, or is that more of a North American thing? Lucky K, I was told by an insider at PSA 2 months ago that mid-May they would be opening up economy, TCG at $20, modern sports at 25. Only thing they were not sure of is turnaround time. Maybe, I mean, look, if they open it up and that would be a massive drop in price. That would be cutting it in half, basically from, 50 down to 25. They would get a ton of cards. It's not really a matter of if, though. It seems to be a matter of when. We've kind of talked about this because once they get through that backlog, and there's going to be, I'm sure Nat Turner and his guys, they have a certain number in mind, whether it's 1 million, 2 million cards in the backlog, where they're like, all right, open it up, because if we've got 1 or 2 million in the backlog, no problem. We can go 50% on the backlog now, 50% on new business, and be totally fine. I'm sure they've got numbers in mind, for all of that stuff. The other part of that is the other grading companies are aggressively trying to get market share. So it's kind of, PSA is grading way more cards than the other grading companies, but I don't think that they're resting on their laurels. I think that they understand that they can't sit at this price point for another 6 months without losing market share. I think that they understand that. Prodigy card collector. Dustin, I thought I was going to see you in a hot tub going live. No, yeah, just the pre-hot tub. Yeah, these are pre-hot tub lives. So yeah, I try to get it in beforehand. Evening, Dominic. Got my drink on hand. I follow TMNT, and there's actually a market for bootleg toys, especially. Okay, now if we're talking about, I've seen the where are they? They're pretty famous. Maybe it's in South America or something. South American TMNT, but they're known bootlegs. They're very obvious bootlegs, and they're loose. They're loose action figures. I haven't seen them like in a box trying to pass as, an 88 branded, one. For the fun of the hobby, how's it going? Good to see you. Thoughts on older Topps Chrome basketball values? If when Fanatics gets Topps Chrome basketball going, feel like it would get a boost. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, maybe, I think the thing that everyone kind of wonders, part of the speculation, is what will a lot of these brands look like over time? Because right now, and even if you go back to the late 80s, 90s, when I was collecting, it was still those 50s vintage baseball cards were kind of the the vintage cards, though, those the cards that were beloved. But I think a good point that you're making is in 20 years, are these, let's say Panini goes away. Panini just kind of, they're just doing soccer stickers in Europe or whatever, but they just kind of go away. are people going to want those products in the same way, or is it going to be, is it going to be a nostalgic thing where it's like, man, I love those prisms, I love the silver prisms, I want to collect those? Or is it going to be like wild card football, some of these sets where, pinnacle football, for example, where they were cool back then. Look, I collected pinnacle football cards. They were cool cards at the time. At the time, they were really, really cool. I mean, hell, maybe in 20 years, the cards will actually have like a hologram that pops out and talks to you in the morning, wakes you up. It's like an alarm clock. I don't know. And then these, silver prisms will be like, well, how the hell did we even bother with those? Or is it going to be like a thing where it's like, oh man, I remember, 20 years ago collecting these, they were so awesome, or I couldn't afford them back then, just like my 89 score football, and now it's 2012 prism is 89 score football. Could very well be. Those are the things everyone speculates on, what's it going to look like, and nobody knows, but it's fun to think about. Starting lineups. Yep. Starting lineups. What do I think of UFC? Oldest cards from 2009, such a new sport, still with tons of potential. I've been buying a lot of, Finest. I'm not big into the sport. Actually, though, one of my viewers had a private signing with Patty the Batty. And so I have a signed card from him that's to Dustin, Patty the Batty. So I do have a cool, and I know he's an up and coming fighter. So I would not be surprised. There's a huge UFC following, so it would not surprise me at all. It's kind of like with wrestling cards, WWE wrestling, people, there's a big following for that. Wrestling cards never really had much of a following, and now you're starting to see it kind of happen. People have been talking about it over the last couple of years since pandemic, and now it's starting to gain traction. Marvel cards gaining traction. So will UFC gain traction? Could be. Very well could be. What's up, Charles? Good to see you, man. Michael Stone. Oh, you got 35 cards back from SGC. Nice. I'm trying. Actually, I had a sub 4 SGC that's supposed to go out next week, and now I'm like, man, should I be buying Bitcoin instead while it's just completely crashing? I'm trying to figure it out. 4 major LCS in Seoul, and depending on the item, some pricing can be much lower or on par than US pricing. Okay. Well, Seoul's a huge city too, so okay. Well, that's good to know. I didn't realize there was that many card shops, though. That's awesome. Absolutely. The hot tub is the stress relief. It's like, you know what? I've had a long day. I'm just going to sit here, stare out into nature, stare out into the world for a little bit. It does the trick. How do you mean, Charles? Feels like 94 and 95 all over again. How do you mean by that? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If PSA's thinking of setting up shop in other countries, how is this going to be perceived overseas? Remember a time when collectors didn't trust or know how to value graded cards in the early 90s? One opportunity I can think of, there's a lot of basketball collectors in the Philippines. Tons, lots of basketball collectors. If you go on Facebook, there's a bunch of Facebook groups, sports card Facebook groups that are dedicated to We're back. We're back. Hang in there, guys. It's a weird internet week. If I go out, I'll be back. So just hang with me. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me so I know that I'm just not talking to myself. All right, perfect. Where were we? Oh yeah, Philippines. So anyway, there's opportunities in other countries for sure. I won't go off on too much of a tangent there, but That I think graded cards in other countries hasn't really hit yet. Not the same, not in the way that in Australia. That's another great example too. Australia would be a great place to be able to provide service. Top's Finest make a big comeback for sure. Few major online retailers that sell cards is not available. I'm a U.S. government plan with U.S. forwarding Addy, so I'm good to go. Oh, okay, I got you. All right, that makes sense. What's up, Raul? Good to see you, man. Hope all is good. Pinnacle did make good stuff. They really did before they went out of business. But I mean, they had some pretty cool looking cards. They were big time back in the day. Fleer Ultra and Pinnacle and Wild Card was kind of like I wouldn't say they were great looking cards. Pinnacle made a nice looking card with Fleer Ultra. Topps Chrome Refractors. Yeah. Yeah, because that's actually smart. You know, when you think about, what's more popular, I think there's a consensus that Topps Chrome more popular than Panini Prism over time. So if you're picking up a lot of the popular player Topps Chrome Refractors, that makes a lot of sense. What's up, Michael? Yeah, the bootleg stuff is pretty obvious. And it's good too because like especially with those Ninja Turtle toys, they all look the same. I mean, yeah, you could make fake ones, I guess, but there's not a lot of differentiation. I mean, like it would be pretty obvious, I think, that it's not the real deal. Stained glass 2020 mosaic cards. Nice. Yeah. Some of that stained glass stuff, I look at all those inserts, color blast, stained glass, Kaboom obviously has gotten its day in the sun. Probably too much of a day in the sun, probably overheated, but yeah, what's that stuff going to look like down the road? Dollar cost average. That's what I did today in the crypto space. Dollar cost average did. But with sports cards, it's different because sometimes you'll have deals. I bought a Marvel card today too. It's from 2013 Fleer Retro set. Expensive boxes, not a PMG, but it's an auto, 1 out of 720 packs type thing. And the price was right. But I have not seen, I guess, yet, and might not see it. It seems like a lot of people are just kind of holding on to the rare stuff, meaning like I haven't seen like a mass exodus where, like in crypto, it's just a big sell off. I have not seen that in collectibles yet. Certain parts of it, certain parts, sure. If it's, if we're talking about like ultra modern basketball or something like that, then yeah, you've seen prices kind of drop. It's kind of like sliding down. I'm talking more on the more rare things. Some stuff is selling less than it was obviously 3 months, 6 months, 9 months ago, but I haven't seen like a mass exodus where everyone's just trying to dump their nice stuff, their good stuff. They're not selling it at a massive discount. They're just holding on to it. Star stuck cards yet? Answer that in the chat, guys, because I don't have. Actually, I think I might have 2 cards there. I haven't logged in about a year on Star Stock, so I should probably do that. Rare edition slabs. I've been talking about them. I met those guys at the Mint Collective. Yeah, they're really nice. And by the way, that slab is. I actually think from a quality standpoint, it's the best slab on the market. It really is. Now, as far as the one thing I was trying to talk to them about is, would you do the slab without grading it? Because that's where I feel like they're going to run into, not necessarily, not that they can't grade cards, but it's just you've got the 4 major companies that are going to dominate that space. I think they could have a niche following, but people aren't going to send to them, I think, for their amazing grading. It's going to be because they've got a really cool PC card that they want in a badass slab, and they have a badass slab. So that's really it. I mean, it's like it's luxury slab. I mean, it's really nice. Yep, there you go. PSA already has an office in Japan. Japanese citizens can submit for grading. Yep. Oh yeah. Hopefully I'm good to go for the rest. All right, we're working. Welcome back. Okay, yeah, just hang with me. If that happens again, I'll just click off the Wi-Fi, click back on. It should only be a couple seconds or a minute or whatever. All right. Yeah, and this is kind of a fun to look for because there's so many different segments of the sports card hobby. We probably, it's like you won't know until it's happening. It's hard. You have to be kind of searching around for things and notice like, oh wow, that's actually a lot lower. But like I was saying, for stuff that's pretty rare, I just haven't seen a big drop off, yet anyway. But let me know if there's certain cards that, high grade, whatever, or scarce this or scarce that you've seen drop in price that you don't mind sharing with others that you're not trying to buy yourself. I would like to hear it. Yeah, really. I don't know. I have fiber. I have good internet, so I don't know what the story is with that. I don't know why that's been happening lately. 68 tops Venezuela PSA 3 in the mail card is a total pop of 10. Only 3 get rated higher than my 3. Congrats. Dedicated to what did I say? I think I missed it. Oh yeah, I was gonna say which player was it? Ernie Banks. But then hey, right there, it should have been obvious right there on your profile pic. Comments, okay. Card market in 10 years. Will people be using money to survive, or will AI take over the job market? People get on UBI and have plenty of time to do hobbies. That's really interesting. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Looking 10 years out, people have been asking me lately if am I bearish? Am I bearish on sports card and collectibles? Have you turned into a bear? And I think that my answer would be in the short term, yes, I guess maybe in certain segments. And also, of course, depends on the card, depends on the set, depends on the sport, all those things. But in the short run, I'm bearish based on what's going on in the economy. It has nothing to do with the card hobby and a lot to do with just the obvious inflation issues, interest rates, all the things that are going on in our in the world. And it's not just the US that's raising rates. You're seeing it happen in Europe. You're seeing it happen in other places as well. So it's a global thing, even though there's a lot of emphasis on the US, obviously. You're starting to see this kind of correction where governments are trying to cut off inflation, and that has a direct effect on asset prices. It just does. So how much of an effect and which segment of these hobbies, which segment of these markets, that's the part that we don't really know. There's so many moving parts. There's so many moving parts to all of it. But I am bullish in the long run on these types of things, collectibles. Now, of course, like with anything else, when you think about cards, I would say 99% of cards that are printed are probably going to be worthless. And I think that we can agree on that. A lot of the common stuff, if we're just talking about what's worth money, not like what you're collecting, because you like EL said he's grabbing commons. If there's certain things that you're collecting, you're building a set, there's other things, then that's totally fine. If it's what's going to be worth money, probably 1% of the stuff, but that's in everything. That's across the board, so I think that that's going to be, I'm bullish on the card market in general, but it's going to depend so much on a lot of factors. We still don't know what it's going to look like to have Fanatics running the show. There's a lot of optimism, but who knows? Maybe they completely screw it up. I mean, we don't know. We'll see. The good news is that's pertaining to new product. There's so much old product and vintage and everything else that even if the new product is totally awful, it's there's still so much else to buy, collect, and etc. So, but I'm optimistic long term for the hobby and collectibles in general. Topps Chrome over Prism. Yeah, and just Prism's about 10 years in as far as, Providence goes. It's just not, Topps Chrome is just more recognized longer term. Rugby and cricket catch on here in the States. Yeah, there are. I have seen cricket, and cricket's the most, what is it? It's the most popular global sport, and it's true, but people just they don't collect those things yet or right now, but we'll see. Oh, the Venezuela card's what you're talking about. Yeah. No, an Impel 1991 Daredevil auto. I would do the share screen thing, but I've had issues with my Mac doing the whole share screen thing for some reason. It's so damn annoying. But yeah, Charles, it's the 91 Impel auto. I forgot the artist name, but it was a good price. And those, I like that. It's 1 out of 720 packs, and the boxes are 10 grand plus. So yeah, you just don't see them pop up very much. And they're not mega expensive yet anyway. Star Stock are thieves. Try to get my cards back from day 2 of it happening. Nothing yet. They said more months. Yeah, there may. I don't know what's going. I never really used them enough to really kind of see what the deal was. So I didn't. I'm not a long time user, for Star Stock, so I can't really speak on it. 6 more months. Yikes, that doesn't sound too good. Yeah, I think I did catch this one. He put out 2 videos, one today and one yesterday. But he has a very similar message to me. I think I'm kind of drawn to him because I think we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff because he's a long-term holder. He's a collector slash investor. He's got what, 8 figures of Magic cards, and everyone hates on him for whatever, but the guy speaks sense. It's, just good, solid stuff. And we're talking about Rudy at Alpha Investments. Not to say I agree with every last thing he says, but he's entertaining and he has really good kind of overall viewpoints. So yeah, his message today was buy. It was funny. He was like, buy something, just buy something. Don't go crazy. Don't, take out your credit cards and spend, and, don't go out and just buy, spend every last dime or leverage yourself completely. But basically what he's saying is if you have any, discretionary income, but get into something, get into collectibles or crypto or whatever it is, because everything's on sale. Essentially is kind of his message. Everything is moving down in price. He's a big dollar cost average guy. And he'll say, like, I've overpaid on stuff because I believe that 10 years, 20 years down the road, it's going to be even more. And so, he's very practical. I like his stuff, and he's entertaining. He's just hilarious. I like his stuff. A doc on him had to find. A doc on who, All right, some Star Stock talk. Adam Ross is hunting for the CSG arbitrage. Picked up a Verlander CSG 10 recently for $200. How they're great. You would think this is a play with a PSA 10 at 375, 400. Yeah, and that's kind of a weird game that we're all playing in this, trading card world in general. You've got PSA where you're paying, it's like the Gucci, you're paying for the Gucci bag, and all of us are buying Coach or whatever else, I don't know, luxury brands. So we're buying Polo, Ralph Lauren, for half the price, but it's the same damn shirt, but it's twice as much, and I'm doing the same dance. I'm buying SGC and CSG, and not to say that I won't buy PSA stuff, but I'm just hesitant to pay a premium for it when it's the same card in the case. And I just don't believe that there's one grading company that grades better than the other. There's not one that, is so much better than the other to where I'm going to pay twice for the same card. Now, if you're flipping, I guess you could say like, oh, I'm trying to buy and sell this. So PSA's got more, it's got a higher resale for the most part for certain things. So I'll go with PSA. Fine. That makes sense. But if you're not flipping it, then it's an interesting decision. Come take my job, robot. I need to do sports card stuff. Heard that. Heard. What's up, Carl Aaron? Good to see you. Bowman's Best is a sneaky play for non-rookies. On-card auto design looks good, and price point is very affordable. Interesting. 1978 Sportscaster. I know one day it's just gonna be hot tub talk. Hey, Jim, good to see you. Liking the football QBs, rookie cards such as Bradshaw, Montana, Marino, Aikman. Yeah. Vintage football. Yep. Yeah, vintage. That's the thing is I always get heat. Like, when are you going to get into vintage baseball? And it's like, when it's not so damn expensive. How about that? Because it's just gone way up. I mean, even a lot of the vintage basketball stuff too, I've been looking at. It's just way up from when I was buying it a few years ago. So it's like, am I going to double up on stuff and pay 3 times as much, or wait? So it's tough for some of that. I totally agree. And football, for whatever reason, yeah, there's value there in comparison to some of the other sports. Yes, CSG, because here's the thing. The way that it looks now, it looks as if PSA is kind of the big one. You know, they're the 800-pound gorilla that's going to stay in power, if you will. But what if they're not? You know, and so these other grading companies can be a hedge against that. You know, CSG's got the big deal with eBay. You know, they're solid grading company. CGC grades. I have a lot of graded comic books with CGC. I believe in them as a company. They're also going to be starting to grade video games as well, graded video games. This whole space is kind of it's growing out, you know. So CSG, CGC, that's a strong company. And then look, you've got Beckett, you got, you know, I know people kind of, you know, tired of BGS, they're not communicating well enough, but been in the hobby for a long time, BGS. They're a long time company. You know, SGC, another long time company, and they're making strides. So it's tricky. It's tough. Flipping Steve versus AIH. So my problem is I'm really boring on this subject because I like both Flipping Steve and I like Raul. I like AIH too. So I'm super boring on that front. But yeah, if they have some sort of a debate, I'll probably watch some of that a little bit later. But yeah, I think I don't mind kind of hearing these differing opinions and hearing debate. I don't know why people shy away from it or think that it's some huge ordeal. I think debate is really good. It's, you know, the world would be a really boring place if we all agreed on everything. So you know, I'm sure that I know Steve's actually stayed at my house, so Steve is a good guy, and I know that Raul is a good guy too. He has a lot of really good big picture thoughts on the thing that's good about him is he's paying attention to things outside of the small sports card hobby stuff, and also just things outside of just, you know, hobby companies. And because a lot of people don't understand, why are card prices going down when the hobby is growing and there's new companies coming in, there's money coming into the market? And a lot of the answers to those questions have nothing to do with cards or the hobby and everything to do with big time money policy and, you know, politics and all sorts of other things that have nothing to do with the hobby. So AIH is covering parts of that. So I like watching him, and Steve's always entertaining. So yeah, good dudes. Oh, prelims. Yeah. I mean, we could, you know, throw in whatever you want. I'll talk about whatever. You know, I'm down. Too much big money investment firms come into the hobby for it to fail. Will be dips, but big booms as well. Yeah, I think that that's kind of the main thing. And again, why people are okay speculating in this space because they feel like big enough money is playing in this pool. It's kind of similar to the stock market. You know, when people are like, "Oh, you know, I'm into, you know, index funds. I'm long term." Why are they long term? Why do they care? You know, why are they so comfortable? And a big part of that is because it's too big to fail. You know, if you think about it, just the US stock market, you know, the Dow Jones, will it have its ups and downs? Yeah, but there's too many billionaires, there's too many huge companies, there's too many people with big money, and then of course you've got millions and millions of people globally that have their money in it. And so that's why people have faith in it, you know, and as the hobby kind of grows out, if it grows out the way that, you know, people are speculating, the same sort of idea applies to it. You know, not to say that sports cards are stocks, because they're not, very different. But that's kind of the mentality, I think. So I agree with you, Carl. Uh-uh. All right. I got you. Team I. The plan is to hold the ones I want for my collection on a discount, then crack and resubmit if the gap between PSA and SGC gives an opportunity. I'm such a lame-o when it comes to these sorts of risks. I would never crack a card out of a case. I'll probably, like, knock on wood, I'll probably be on a video one day cracking a card, but I guarantee you the one that I go to open, I'll break. It'll be like a Jordan rookie, and I go to crack it and like just cut the card in half, and I go screaming out, jump out, you know, jump out the door, and it gets caught on video. Actually, that might be good for views. So maybe I'll think about cracking a case and then blowing a gasket and running through a wall. Maybe that'll be something. Maybe that'll be a video next week. Thanks for the video idea, Adam. I have a hot tub. It's called the Charles River. Take a dip in that. You come out with a third arm. That's like the Simpsons with like the fish that have the three eyes, the yellow fish? The natives are restless. Yes. Any football you've been up to, is that you've been up personally? You mean like football cards, Lewis? Is that what you mean? So if you're talking about football cards, I'm lying in wait on some different things. And so really what I want to do is I want to look for I'm really holding out for the National because the National has really good vintage stuff. And so I want to actually save my money, go to the National at the end of July. I don't think, I could be wrong. Again, I'm kind of guessing here, I'm speculating. I don't think the prices are going to be higher at the end of July. Could be, but I think that we're still going to kind of go through our lumps here economically over the summer. And so my hope is that I can kind of maybe get into some vintage football at a decent price. There could be no movement on the vintage stuff just because there's not much of it, frankly, and that's fine. But I'm just going to hold out until I would like to kind of save some money for the National and then go see what's out there. If SEA doesn't drop in on that stone cold flipping Steve AI stream, the whole sports card community will be disappointed. You know what'll be amazing is if flipping Steve loses his temper, because I've never seen him really lose his temper. Actually, maybe once or twice on, getting kind of fiery on a live stream. But his idea of like losing his temper is like me losing my temper. It's really not really losing your temper. So that would actually be pretty entertaining. I'm going to text Steven to say, hey, can you just blow a gasket for no particular reason tonight? And had nothing to do with Raul. Just be yelling at like, your dog or something. Just go off. Do you think pop counts for non-PSA graders are inflated because of people cracking and regrading? Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the pop reports, they're not correct, but it's a good guide. It's definitely a good guide. I mean, this to be true, Michael. I mean, I know you're asking because you already know the answer to it. Yeah, people are cracking, they're resubbing. So the pop reports are kind of all screwy, So, but knowing that, when you look at kind of like how many nines are out there versus tens, and you can kind of estimate on certain cards, like I wonder how many were cracked to go, trying to get a 10 and whatever. So yeah, for sure. Arbitrage. I don't trust anyone who regularly uses the term arbitrage. Okay, I'll try to keep that to a minimum, Bob. Arbitrage. Ruby's videos are entertaining, but he acted like we don't know the bottom. The bottom is when the Fed turns the interest rate switch the other way. Yeah, but it's so hard to know. So the real hard part, Grant, I think too, is trying to figure out, because you'll hear a lot of people say this, and I think there's some validity to it, is the price is already baked in this event, X event, whatever that is. So, like for example, the Fed just went up, half a basis point, up 0.5, 50 basis points, excuse me, went up 50 basis points. Now, what some people will say is, okay, well, the market had already anticipated that increase. So the prices had already anticipated that. Is that true? Is that not true? What if the market hasn't anticipated those and we're a month out from the market actually, baking in that stuff. So there's so much going on, and that's just one, interest rates are just one element. There's so many other things too. So it's just tricky. It's really, really tricky. I think what I'll probably do is just buy in increments on the way down. And who knows, maybe today, like what we were talking about crypto today, crypto took a big bath today. Maybe hit the bottom. I don't necessarily think it has, but maybe it has. I don't know. But I think I'm just going to buy bits kind of on the way down because I'm never going to guess the actual bottom. And so I'll just buy bits on the way down. AIH versus Flipper Steve. Yep. This is just a warm-up bout. This is just a warm-up. Grading still the biggest problem in the hobby, even when backlogs are gone. SGC PSA have hired so many graders. Inconsistency is a big problem. Yeah. So from what I've heard, and again, I mean, there's a lot of people that like PSA. I've heard a lot of people that I respect that have graded a ton of cards. Nolan, Elite Co 3, who I'm going to have on the show over the next few weeks. He's one of these people that's been sending cards to grading companies for 10, 15 years. He says SGC is the most consistent nowadays. And like I said, he sent a million cards to PSA, SGC, BGS, all of them. So I trust his opinion. But I think that you have a point though, to where it's really hard. People, it's kind of like, with referees in sports, when you're like, man, I just want the call to be right. But then you're like, But yeah, but I also want it just to be, the refs are part of the game and this and that. For me personally, I would rather there be instant replay so I know that they're getting the call right. Some people are like, no, it's part of the game. That's just how the game is. In grading, is it not kind of similar to that, where it's like some people are like, I just want it to be right. And then other people are like, I just want a PSA 10. Like they just want a 10. They don't care if it's right. They want a 10. But I think that there is kind of there's something to that, to where if you had uniformity, it would probably really help the market as a whole. If you're talking about, I've heard a lot of talk like big money investors don't want to come in now because of blah, 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 whatever. The reality is that and I think it might have been SCA that made this point. It's a astute point that I think that he made is that, and I think actually one of his commenters on one of his videos said it is that we don't have uniformity. You don't have someone that's coming in with huge money. What if they buy, we're just talking about Michael Jordan 86 Fleer PSA 10s. Well, you've got some that are they're premium. They're, PWCC plus or whatever, and they get a premium price. There's not really uniformity to it. There's little kind of, nuance to everything, which is cool, sort of, but not cool if you're looking for stability and investment. So I think that might actually be kind of an issue. I'm going off on a tangent a little bit there, but I don't think that it helps this market as a whole. Now, if you're a hobbyist and you're like, hey, this is a hobby, like this is a hobby where we're just collecting cards, then you're probably fine with all of these things. But if we're talking about big money coming in, investor money coming in, I think that they need some sort of uniformity to it, for it to make sense. Anyway, could be wrong though. Bowman Best to Jomar. Rookie autos of Bowman's Best. They are beauties. Good opportunity in steroid era stuff. Bonds, A-Rod are some of the greatest players of all time. In 10 years, there will be renewed interest. People will look back, especially Barry Bonds. My gosh. I don't even get me started. I'm not even a baseball guy, and I just think it's so ridiculous how much power the Baseball Hall of Fame folks have. It's like, can they be retired? Like let's figure out a different plan because it just doesn't make any sense. Wondering if Chris at Card Letter ever responded to my video. Oh, okay. The one that I made in response to his stuff. He did not. He did not reach out to me. And I've talked with Chris over the last couple of years. Like I had said, I was one of the first people that ever started using Card Ladder. I was breaking the news 2 years ago when Josh put out a 30-second clip. It might actually be still on his Cardboard Chronicles channel, but it was basically like a 30-second teaser for Card Ladder, and I saw it. And this was probably like June 2020, and I reported on it. I reported on what it like. This could be like revolutionary because I do, look, back then I don't think that it's any different today. I really like the idea of data tools in the market. I think that they have value. Now, where we have a little bit of an issue now is I think the data tools have a long way to go. And, I think the idea that they've kind of figured it out and here it is, this is a finished product. I don't really agree with that. I think there's a lot more that can be done on the data side. And so I don't think that's anywhere close to a finished product. And so that's where we might disagree a little bit, or other people might disagree with me or whatever. But I like new technology in the hobby. I like things that make my life easier. I like the My Collection features. I like these things, so I'm all for new business, and I promote a lot of new businesses in the hobby. If you watch my channel and if you've watched over the last 2 years, if you're a new business coming in, I've probably made a video about you at some point when you're just trying to get started. And I do that purposely because it's that people helping people thing. And I want to get the word out to help that startup. But then I also want the hobby to know about it because that new startup they don't necessarily have marketing money to go out and, spend on, to get the word out. So I think that is, and I think that's something that I try to try to share with my viewership, just to make people aware of what's out there, what new hobby companies are coming out, what new services. So long answer to your question. He did not respond, but I didn't reach out to him either directly. So no big deal. And like I said in the video, there's no personal anything with them. I really like the tool. I really like Card Ladder. So that's pretty much it. Oh, I don't know what we're talking about there with the over-under. BGSPR is clueless. I am done with them. I've heard that a lot. AIH likes Steve more than he does others, so it won't be a cage match. No, it won't be. Steve's not capable of a cage match. Are you kidding me? Steve, I think they can have some good debate. They can talk through some things. But yeah, Steve's a really good guy. And he's also good at kind of discussing those things, and I'm sure that they'll have a good debate. Steve has no idea how lit that chat is going to be later. Feel bad for him. Oh well, Paul doing Paul things. Paul's on eBay looking for really really rare football cards I've never heard of, but I like seeing them. I like when you share those, Paul. Those are awesome. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you, buddy. Title match or expedition? Nope. This is one of the lead up fights. This is the the guys at the end of their career, the overweight guys that are just happy to be on the ticket. They're just getting a quick check. That's me right here, leading up to the main event. AIH with a Hail Mary. I don't know what that means, but okay, Baker Boy. There's going to be some feelings hurt today, either with the hosts or in the comments section. Well, I mean, hopefully, look, it's you can have spirited debate and be, you can do it in a way to where it's respectful. You can do it in a way to where you can have a spirited debate, disagree on something, and and it works out. 71, 72 tops basketball sets, 60s baseball raw if you've never gotten in, because those genres are still affordable. 71 and 72 tops basketball are awesome. I completely agree with that. If you had to pick your retirement funds and if you had to pick to invest your retirement funds in one or the other stocks or sports cards, which one are you choosing and why? If we're talking about long-term retirement funds, I would pick, well, I have already picked stocks. I've got index funds like a lot of people do. But it's not that I don't believe in sports cards. It's just that I think you can also do a variety of different things, so whether it be stocks, real estate. I own real estate. I own stocks. I own sports cards. I own crypto. So I think I'm trying to diversify across the major things and then trying to make good decisions within those categories. BGS is ran like a mafia organization, underwritten rules and no communication, hidden fees to accelerate the process. Bob's big boy coming in hot. Oh, Jimmy Flint. I see NASCAR cards going up. You're starting to speak my language a little bit, Jimmy Flint. I made a video about NASCAR cards because I did buy in. Well, it's the only National Treasure stuff I can afford. So, but no, I dug in a little bit on that. I watched the Daytona 500, and I won't go on and on about NASCAR. Don't worry, chat. So I know some of you are going to be like, Jan, clicking it off. I can't stand, NASCAR. Fine. That's totally fine. I'll make this very quick. I watched the Daytona 500 a couple months ago. Really, really enjoyed it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a look at some of the NASCAR stuff. Hobby boxes of NASCAR National Treasures are $400 compared to what's football, 5,000 or something stupid. It's the only product that is affordable. And then I was looking into the cards, and you've got legends like Jimmy Johnson, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt Sr. They've got affordable cards. Danica Patrick, while she's not a legendary NASCAR driver, she is, obviously the prominent female driver. This is a 16 or 17? So 2017 Select NASCAR. It's the only year of Select, so it's not like football, basketball, where you got like years and years and years of it. 1 year of Select NASCAR, and it's 2017. This is gold, the gold prism numbered out of 10, all this. And the prices on this stuff is ridiculously low compared to everything else. So Jimmy, I can just from the simple fact of the cards are just not expensive. Not going to argue with you. But here's the thing. They might never go up just because the other side of that argument is, there's not enough people watching NASCAR. It's not exciting enough. It's not, there's so many other parts of that to where maybe they're low for a reason. Who knows? Especially if you're buying vintage and low to mid grade range, depending on eye appeal. Why is Ryan McClanahan profile photo getting progressively meaner looking? I know, Ryan, what's up with that? Actually, I think that's more of his modeling face. He's been talking to Brad too much, where he's working on his modeling looks. That's his blue steel. I lose my temper at times when trading cards. Charles, I'm just picturing you yelling at cards. AIH, want to see Dustin get mad. I get mad occasionally, but it's not like it's like my highest levels, like my like 100 is probably like a lot of people's like 20. I was always kind of raised on like cooler heads prevail, so I can get worked up, but I usually can kind of keep it in check. Usually, like if it goes too, if you go too nuts, then you just lose everybody, and then it's like okay, then you can't really make a good argument. Adam Ross, you are damn right. Now, am I hot on Jameis Winston's cards? No, I'm not. I don't own any Jameis Winston cards, but am I excited about the New Orleans Saints season coming up? Yeah. Nobody thinks we're going to be any good, and I think that we are going to be good. I think that we're going to be really good. So, yes, I understand. Jameis Winston had 30 interceptions in one of his seasons. I get it. Fine. But he's shown me enough. I think that we're going to be all right. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I lived in Florida, Bob, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Florida is kind of the mecca for NASCAR. Well, it was for NASCAR with Daytona, all the big races. There's a lot of big races in Florida. And you are actually really spot on with that. There was just so much NASCAR collectible stuff, whether it be the cars, posters, there's so many different things. And so that actually makes a lot of sense. So I try to collect certain things that, it's like Dale Earnhardt Sr. pack pulled autos are very difficult to find. They're not cheap though. So stuff like that. But you're right. I mean, you're talking about the cars, all the stuff was mass produced. Nice to see AIH here, the great curator's arch nemesis. All right. It's going to be like a WWE event. You should have like all of you, great curator, AIH, who is it? Who else? SCA, or, put them all in like in the chat, and you can just yell at each other, just yell out random things. That actually be kind of entertaining. You guys should set that up. Maybe I can be a moderator. Hey, there we go. Maybe I'll moderate everybody on. That'd be kind of fun. What's up, guys? What's up, Corey? People just complain when they don't get 10s. Yeah, I mean, I think there is something to that. Probably because there's so much money involved between like that 9 and the 10. It's like the difference in price is so massive. So I think SGA scale allows it to be most consistent, having a 9.5. Yeah, that's a good point. No, that makes sense. I know some people, and that's what's funny is a lot of people, they don't want the 9.5 because they just want it to be their 9 or 10. They want that 9 or the 10. They'd rather just like do whatever it takes to get the 10. And that's it. Kareem and Oscar. Yep. Those are great. Those are great cards. 71, 72 tops. If only we had a grading company that advertised AI tech and where 10 days means 10 days to help with the consistency and uniformity. Oh, well. Steve will be fair with AIH tonight. The chat, though, going to be fireworks. Well, I feel like I should have to tune in just for the chat. Maybe I can moderate chat. No, I won't do that. That won't be any fun. People show up for all the shenanigans, right? How do you feel about PSA 9s? Just bought 2 of them, optic base. They were both about $20, $25 below their high going back a month. Yeah. So I've shifted over. I've been trying to only buy rare. If it's modern, ultra modern stuff, I try to go with rarity, with rarity. So if it's a PSA 9, I just want it to be something, that's maybe numbered. If it's ultra modern, not to say that, and these can be sneaky plays like what you just got, John. It's kind of interesting because it's all about the price point. So if the PSA 9 base John Morant and Jason Tatum's, if they get low enough, then they've got upside to them. So I can see the argument either way. The whole like if base gets cheap enough, then maybe it's worthwhile. If it's and if it's parallels, maybe it's the parallels or whatever. But it all depends on kind of the difference in price. The arbitrage. Who is the person that said that they hear arbitrage too much? Is there any arbitrage? If I look mean, it's only because I've been eating more vegetables lately. That's fair, Ryan. That's fair. I was eating my feelings today and ate just a bunch of crap. I ate like a quarter of an apple pie and I just stopped eating. I do intermittent fasting. So when I eat just total garbage, that's just basically dinner, so that's it, so I've had like apple pie and that's what it's going to be. There's nothing else. I bought a random stack of books at a flea market in Mass years ago, and there was a book signed by Kareem randomly. That's cool. That's cool. Data fails for one reason. It's old info and doesn't help projections of what is happening next 90 days. It is also easily manipulated with shill bidding and non-payment. And that's really something that I've definitely seen and learned over the last 2 years, just seeing it happen more and more. Maybe a little bit of naivety on my part, when thinking about the sales, the data, but also I just wonder if it got worse over time, between like 2019 and like now, like the shilling and everything. Did it get worse over time with all the money kind of moving in? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, there's so much. The data tools are great for certain things, but they don't capture, think about all the you can't get a true sense of the comps and value on a lot of stuff because you don't have in-person sales that are included, and they don't have a way to do that properly. It's not like it's the data tool's fault. It's just they're never going to have a huge swath of data to be able to make a call on certain players market, in my opinion. They've got a lot of data, don't get me wrong. They do have it's a fair amount of data, but most of it's from eBay. And the eBay data, for better or worse, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. And they don't have an automated system that I know of. From what I know, whether we're talking about Card Ladder, Market Movers, I'm pretty sure it's humans that have to go in there and catch all the bad sales. Which, if you're tracking thousands and thousands of cards, I just don't know. I just feel like that's hard to do. It's very hard to do. There's just so much. The data tools are it's in my opinion, it's a great start. They're doing really good things, but my hope is that they continue to stick with it and evolve, and that just keeps on getting better. Those tools get better over the next 5 years, 10 years, because I know for me personally, I would pay more money for more information. If they were able to get more of, in-person data, or if they were able to really smooth it all out, to where there was not, I don't want to say more confidence, because it's not that there's not, good data there. It's just, it's pieces, you've got pieces, so you don't have a full picture, and there, it might not be possible. That's the other part. Might not be possible to get a full picture. So I'm not sure what all the answers are, but it's tricky. It gives you a snapshot, but it doesn't give you everything. Veggies are healthy though. Fair enough. I first thought Flipping Steve was an acrobat that might have been a male cheerleader in college. Maybe Steve was. That's a good question in the chat for later, Bob. Make sure you ask that. Is Flipping Steve an acrobat? He very well could be. Maybe I'll do a backflip on the live stream. Stocks, some decent dividend ones out there too. Yeah. Hey, it might be a little boring for folks, but it's tried and true, tried and true. Sports card buying is gambling for kids. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. I think buying a lot of different things could be gambling for anybody. I don't know if it's, it's there's an element of sports betting, I think, to some of the stuff, but I guess I don't really understand the question in full. Vanguard high dividend yield. Yeah, there's a lot of really good, index options out there for sure. One thing I can't wrap my head around is the fact that singles prices continue to tank and wax break prices keep going up. How? Yeah, and I don't really follow the wax and the break. I don't enter into breaks, so I don't really follow that. I have to assume though that's got to correct at some point. That has to kind of correct. I mean, people have to just stop buying into it at some point. But you know what? Maybe that's their entertainment. Maybe that's their entertainment money. They want to buy into a break, and that's fun for them. So I mean, I think the breaking element's not always about making money. I think that it is partly, but then there's also just a part of it where it's just kind of the fun sports betting element, to it, and that's really it. Got a ton of Haley Deegan 101 rookie cards and NT. Yeah, I mean that's a NASCAR driver, I believe, is what you're talking about there, Justin. I think she's a driver. F1 is never going to be a thing here in the US. NASCAR used to be super huge and it's probably lost half their audience. Yeah, I mean, the F1 stuff, I don't have any F1 cards, but yeah, it could be. I've heard so many different theories on it, and I don't really know what to make of it, but I haven't studied that F1 market to really know what's going on with it. So I would just be guessing, because I haven't been following it at all, other than just seeing the record prices for certain cards. I hear that there's not a lot of new product for it, so maybe it's a lack of product, but I don't know. I mean, all I know is that a year ago, maybe about a year ago is when people started talking about it. A year and a half ago, no one gave a crap about F1 cards. No one, as far as in the hobby, like maybe I'm missing something, but 18 months ago, 2 years ago, didn't hear a peep about F1. I know there was the Netflix documentary, so maybe that was part of it, and it's just kind of like this perfect storm. I have no idea, but I don't have enough of the I haven't studied that market enough to really have a good grasp on it. So I don't want to, I mean, I'm sure there's F1 people that are like, here's 20 reasons why it's great. And those could be valid. What's up, Alex? Good to see you, man. Hope all is well down under. Jameis should have a patch card with a piece of crab leg player worn. I would probably buy that just for fun if it wasn't too expensive. 2016 Prism Jared Goff silvers for under $30. Yeah. Yeah, and those actually, Jared Goff was a guy I considered last year too, and they're probably even cheaper now. But it's a good point. Jared Goff was in a Super Bowl a couple years ago. There's so many good QBs, good to not great, not goats, but just good players that who knows, maybe they have a breakout year. And it's like if the price is right. Open wheel as a whole is just a better product than NASCAR, whether that's Indy or F1. F1 can totally get big because Brian France screwed up NASCAR for too long. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a racing expert, Paul, so I can't argue with you properly. I guess maybe but you're probably wrong. Great curator sold himself as a hobby hero when he is actually the hobby's biggest villain. That's a tough talk from Bob. Tough talk, coming in hot. Bob's coming in hot. I've met Dan. I met Dan in Atlanta at Culture Collision. I haven't spent a lot of time with him. Seemed like a nice guy. I don't know him, so I don't. I know Merlin. I've met up with Merlin a few times. He, good guy. So, but everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. An Aussie called Marcus Ambrose raced NASCAR in the early 2000s. I think I remember that name. SCA and that curator fella coming out to their intro music mid Stone Cold AIH stream would be epic. That would be funny. I'll moderate. I'll be a moderator on that. Let me know. Open wheel was big when I was younger in the late 70s, early 90s, but fizzled out fast. Big fan of NASCAR, but don't know if there's much interested in NASCAR cards. Dale Sr. and Jeff Gordon really hit the, yeah. Yeah, I almost bought. So I bought a Richard Petty Prism Color Blast because I thought the price was pretty good compared to other Color Blast cards. Football, basketball, et cetera, or not basketball, but football. And I almost bought a Jeff Gordon Color Blast as well because he was a really popular racer when I was a kid too. So you just never know. A year ago nobody was saying like Marvel cards are going to be big, or everybody would have bought PMGs. Nobody did. Nobody bought PMGs except for Flippin' Steve. If the Holman George family, Don, I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. It doesn't make any sense. All right, guys, I've been on for an hour 13. I've got to jump off and hang out with the little ones for a little bit before it's bedtime. All right, so I'm just going to try to run through the remaining comments. There's not too many. I'm going to try to run through them real quick. So another about 5 minutes or so. If they at least told me why it was a 9 instead of a 10 or an 8 instead of a 9, it may not be so irritated if it was obvious and justified. Grading notes might be something that is coming in the future, near future for some grading companies. I'm speculating on that. I have no inside info, but grading notes, who knows? Paul, what are you talking about? Holman, George family don't screw up Indy for 25 years. IndyCar probably never falls below NASCAR for popularity. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I know as a teenager in the early 80s, we watched Indy 500 as a family every year, and then all of a sudden no one cared. Sports can be funny like that. You just never know what's going to be hot, what's not. Nobody cared about golf, and then Tiger Woods came along. NASCAR needs a Tiger Woods driver. I've said that before, and I will keep on saying that. They need some sort of high profile, just Talladega Nights, like Ricky Bobby character in NASCAR. Top Steph Curry rookie card. Nice, Josh. Steve should do a flip every time he gets a sub. That would be fun. And then video it and make a video on that. That'd be cool. Speaking of dividends, Coca-Cola stock is holding up well. I noticed. Interesting. Just bought McLaren Gem Mint base card for $25 or close to $50 at end of season. Yep. It's like what Rudy at Alpha Investments talks about. Everything's on sale. Coke always holds its value. Coca-Cola. F1 is a different animal than NASCAR. I disagree. It can't become a big thing in the U.S. Drive to Survive is smartest marketing any sport has ever done. Not Miami, Vegas, Austin. And that's the thing, Michael. Yeah, I can't. I'll take your word on it because I just haven't studied it enough to know. You know, I know the people that are involved have more insights. So that makes sense. Wax is deflationary. With all due respect, NASCAR only caters to a U.S. audience and it's boring. F1 is way more interesting and fun to watch and has an international audience and has lots of rooms to grow. So the only thing, Caesar, with this that I would push back on is that everyone always talks about an international audience for soccer, for example. But in reality, like 85 to 90% of the soccer cards that are bought are in the U.S. So a lot of the big money that's poured into sports cards is U.S. money. So we can talk about, global audience, this, that, and whatever, but the big money that's in this hobby is in the United States. So I hear you to where, there's probably not a lot of people in Spain or in Australia that might be interested in, NASCAR, or they might like F1 more than NASCAR. That makes sense. But, to say that global audience, the international audience, sure, that's important. But cricket has an amazing international audience and nobody gives a crap about cricket cards. So, it is what it is. So Panini's got NASCAR from 2016 onward. So you've got Prism, you've got National Treasures, you've got Select in 2017 up until now. So that's where you can, that's kind of the ultra modern stuff. There's also a bunch of fun, I break out some stuff, but there's some cool vintage stuff. What is it? 72 STP set is expensive. That's a big time set. The late 80s Max cards are more common, printed a lot of that stuff. And then there's an 83 Uno set. I've got a Richard Petty SGC graded card there. That's considered Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s rookie card, and it is very expensive if you can find it. So anyway, there's a few things. What's up, Michael Ham? Hope all is good. Mark Martin, the driver, I think you're talking about, right? I don't have any Mark Martin cards, but I remember him. Michael Stone, thanks, man. Thanks. We had over 100 people at one point. That's kind of amazing just being here on a Monday evening at, like work time. So thank you very much for showing up. Flippin' Steve bought PMGs for his pump and dumb. Oh, man. Tough words. Well, I assume, Grunt Dad, you're going to be in the chat later in Steve's live stream to give it to him. Purple Haze, have a good one. Thanks for joining. Good chat. Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes just rolled by. So thanks, guys, for showing up. I appreciate it. I like talking to you guys directly and just kind of rolling through the chat. So they need someone to go to jail. I don't know what you're referring to exactly, SVFG. McDonald's stock went up 40% after the housing crisis in 08, 09. F1 cars are faster than NASCAR. Fair point. Have a good night, Grant. All right, Grant, I will try. Yeah, I'll try to be in the chat just so I can talk to some of you all in the chat later. That'll be kind of funny. All right, Chris, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Baker Boy, the main event is almost on. What is it, 9 o'clock, the main event? I don't know. All right, Brett, take it easy, man. All right, Grunt Dad, we'll see you later. El Paul, talk to you later, guys. All right, have a good night.